Hello ladies and gentlemen, we have three helmets in front of me that on the face of it look very similar, but they do have some differences between them. It is, however, enough to compare them to one another because they very clearly take a similar line in terms of their design and usage. They are all retro-looking, fantastic city helmets. Now, if I start by explaining the OG of this style, that would be the Bell Bullitt in front of me. Then we also have the BYCITY Roadster II to my left and the ORIGINE Vega to my right. Now, just at a glance, you'll be able to see they share some similarities, and the biggest one is the overall shape and the overall visibility that you get with them. Such a huge aperture on the front of these helmets, they all have that in common. The visibility is unrivaled when it comes to full face helmets. They have a similar field of view that you would get from wearing an open face helmet, but of course you have that added chin bar protection. And they're all very stylish, especially if you couple them with a tinted visor. They can be very eye-catching. There are, however, lots of differences between them as well, chief amongst them being, of course, the price. So starting with the BYCITY Roadster II over there, and they do vary. We will have certain offers on. There may well be discontinued colors in the future and discounts. As you scroll through our website, you'll be able to find things like that. But as a base price, the BYCITY Roadster start at about £160. And then you've got the ORIGINE Vega, which start around £169, going up to about £199, depending on the colorways. And then, of course, in the middle, we have the Bell Bullitt, which is around £350, depending on the color or the version that you go for. Your first question, therefore, will probably be, is it worth going for the more expensive helmet in the middle? And I would say, yes, it can be. There is a difference between them, as you'll be able to feel in your hands. It's kind of a hard thing to explain. It is something that you need to live with the helmet or be exposed to it for longer to really work out. Ultimately though, they are all safe helmets. They all pass the same ECE safety standard, so you can't go wrong in any direction you choose to go in. But let me explain some of the smaller, subtle differences between them. Let's start with the most obvious thing, the looks of the helmet. And whilst the shape might be similar, they all go for very distinct, different colorways and styles to the outside look. Now with the Bell Bullitt, it has been around the longest. Unsurprisingly, they have the biggest variety of styles or colorways to choose from, and they have a really premium finish. Add to that the fact that you have a huge variety of visors, both flat visors or bubble visors, and different inserts if you want to change the liner as well. Second, in terms of the range of colors available, for me is the ORIGINE Vega. They have a lot of different colorways. A lot of those really do catch my eye. They are finished very well. And then for my taste, at least, the BYCITY Roadster II has some more simple designs, possibly a little bit less eye-catching than the other two in terms of the color choices they've gone for, but it is a slightly cleaner looking helmet in terms of logos or branding. You will notice on the Bell, all of them have this Bell logo on the front of the helmet. Of course, it is small, but if you don't want any branding across your helmet, you really only have one choice where these are concerned, and that would be the BYCITY Roadster II. As you can see, they have no logo on the front of the helmet and minimal branding across the rest of it. Now, you do also have a strap at the back if you want to couple this with goggles. You can do that with the BYCITY Roadster II. You could do it with any of these if you want to take off the visor and couple it with goggles, but this is the only one that actually has a strap at the back so that you can actually get the strap of the goggles through there and secure it. Next thing I'd like to point out are the vents and the amount of airflow you can get with a helmet like this. Obviously they are all quite an open design, so you will get a decent amount of airflow through, and if you open the visor, of course, you'll get a lot of wind to cool you down on a warm day. The difference though is with the Bell and the ORIGINE Vega, you have vents on your forehead, which of course you forego on the BYCITY Roadster II. The other difference between these two specifically is that on the ORIGINE Vega, you can also close those vents on your forehead, which you can't do on the Bell. Both though have a closable vent on the chin, as does the BYCITY Roadster II. But to repeat myself, to get increased airflow, and because you have these exhaust vents at the back of your head as well, you will get better airflow on either the Bell or the ORIGINE. Hello folks, excuse the interruption, apologies, but upon reviewing this back, we realised that actually I didn't answer one of the most asked questions about these helmets. Naughty me. Let me do that for you now. So the question is, how noisy are they? Do they cope with wind noise well? And it is a decent question to ask because, of course, they are so open. The trade-off is that you do get a lot of airflow through, therefore wind noise can be quite high if you are going to sit doing long-distance, high-speed touring for a period of time. It's going to be the same across any of these helmets. They're all about the same sort of volume, which is why we'd recommend if you are going to use this kind of helmet for long distance riding to couple it with some earplugs just to save your hearing. But then that's a decent recommendation for any helmet out there. It's always a good idea to have some form of ear protection if you're going to be sat on the motorway for a long time. Now back to a slightly younger version of myself. Next up, let's come to the overall profile of these helmets. And for my eye, these are all medium. The BYCITY Roadster II is noticeably a slightly smaller looking helmet in this size in particular. Now it's also worth mentioning that of these helmets, the only one that does 3 different shell sizes is the bell. And what that means to you is that the outer shell more closely matches the internal size. The BYCITY Roadster II and the ORIGINE Vega do 2 shell sizes, changing between medium and large, which means if you are a size large, the shell size does jump up more dramatically than it will do with the bell. They all use a fiberglass shell construction, so they are all lightweight and comfortable, but the weight is different between them. All of them are still going to be a comfortable weight, but the BYCITY is noticeably the lightest. It's around 1,200 grams, actually. Then we have the ORIGINE Vega at around 1,400 grams, and the Bell Bullitt is around 1,450 grams. I think the biggest and most obvious difference between these helmets in terms of quality probably comes down to the visor, actually. So let me explain that next. On the BYCITY Roadster, it is slightly easier to change visors on this one, in that you can just loosen that off with your hands. On the Bell or the ORIGINE, you will notice you need a flat head screwdriver, or to be fair, actually you can get away with a coin in most circumstances if you're out and about and you don't have tools on you. But the mechanism is noticeably better on these 2 helmets than it will be on the BYCITY. Actually, it's the closure on the BYCITY that really stands out to me. They have it magnetized basically on both sides, and whilst you still can do that single-handed whilst you're riding the bike, of course, but you do need to release it at both sides. And that magnet on the visor itself does rattle around a little bit, so when the helmet is open, you will hear that to some degree. Unlike on the Bell, which is also magnetized, but it has this tab down at the bottom there, and the action is so smooth on this helmet. And then the same with the ORIGINE, in fact, it has a similar kind of smoothness to the action. Something I quite like about that is the locking mechanism for this is found on the left side, and it's this little tab that you just close. You either slide it up or down depending if you want to lock it in place when it's closed. Both will work just as well. It's worth noting that none of these helmets come with pin lock, so they are at risk of misting up, hence the vents on the chin bar there, but you can tell a difference in terms of the thickness and the quality of the visors between them. Lastly, we'll come to the fit and the comfort of these helmets. The best place always, as I will refer you to, is on the website. We have a size guide, we keep that up to date. We use your feedback as well where appropriate. The only one I have notes on in terms of the fit being noticeably different than the others is the ORIGINE Vega. They definitely size on the large side, so just be aware of that. They will all fit intermediate oval shaped heads. They have a fairly neutral shape to them, so you shouldn't have much problem where that's concerned. What I will say though is that although all of these have removable liners, so you can take them out and wash them, the Bell Bullitt, again, unsurprisingly, has the biggest variety in terms of cheek pieces. And if, like me, what you find is you can find the right fit to your cranium, the top of your head, but you have hollow or sunken cheeks or just a thin face, you might need to get bigger cheek pieces, and you'll be able to get them with the Bell Bullitt. You have a wide variety of sizes, which helps you tailor the fit on this one a lot more closely. And that about covers it for this array of helmets you see in front of me. Honestly, you can't go too far wrong. These all, as I mentioned, pass the same safety standard. So ultimately, you're not sacrificing on safety. It just comes down to a little bit of the practicalities, possibly a bit of your budget, or maybe you just like the look of one of these in particular or a certain colorway that they do. Always interested to hear your thoughts. Let us know what you think of these 3 helmets in the comments section down below. Have a look for them using the links in the description, and I will see you soon for more of the world's finest riding gear. Bye-bye.